So, folks, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again in Module 2, or respectively, the Chapter 1. I'm trying to manage for EBN, so thank you for the opportunity again to EBN to be part of the, let's say, nice session with you. And I believe I have for today a couple of things to be mentioned and explained in terms of the Module 2. But first of all, let me just remember you the training rules as we had last time. So please, if there is some will to discuss and raise the question, please like the button, and I will just with Kova check if, or maybe just you can just also comment that in the chat. So your question, or maybe something which will be not, let's say, explained well. So don't worry about that, but please let me just finish my sentence. So this is only the first rule. Second, as important one I can see again here is that you know that your level of knowledge about the ecosystem and the theory of change I will just try to explain today maybe will be different. So yeah, if there is something you would like to add and comment, please go ahead. But again, please after the my last sentence, so to finish my words. So this is only the point. So if there will be the microphone and so on, you can see that in this training rules. So let's finish that and go ahead with the module 2 and the expectations. So in terms of module 2, let me just say this on this slide, and this is that we are moving from module 1 and we focus on understanding the ecosystem. So we mapped actors, relationships, flows, and structural gaps, and we analyze who is present, how they interact, and where friction exists. So yeah, the mapping perspective is on the table, and yeah, the shift from or to module 2 description is to initiate influence. So it asks, how do we design interventions that actually change the system behavior? Understanding the structure is necessary, but insufficient, sorry. So real ecosystem leadership begins when we move from the observation to intervention design. Okay, so this module is about discipline, intervention logic. This is just nice introduction, but it cannot say much about it. But yeah, please go ahead with some system things like that. So if you are talking about ecosystem intervention, which often fail, so let me just say this. So many ecosystems interventions fail to produce systematic change, but not because of incompetence, not because of lack of funding, but because they basically focus on activity rather than mechanism. Let me just explain that. So if you launch the programs, if we are hosting the events, providing the services, let me just check the chat. Yeah, it's not visible. Okay, sorry. 1 second. Let me just 1 second do this. Okay. Give me 1 second, please. Sorry about that. Mm. Is it better now, Kova?
Yes.
It's better. Okay, sorry about it, guys. I can do it like this. Sorry. But you cannot see the full screen, right? I cannot hear Kova, so anybody else, please? You are sharing the screen.
We can
So,
see. Yes.
Can see it.
all right, sorry. 1 second, sorry.
Uh,
Again, same issue like last time. Okay, stop share. Okay, well, once again, share. not the desktop. I would like to share only the application window.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Mm, Zoom. What's happening now? So yes,
The
application.
second time was working, Martin.
Okay, it's working.
The second time, yes. Now, if you put it, yes, yes, now it is. If you put it,
Okay.
now we
Okay.
see like message, yeah, yeah, but yes.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. Sorry about it, guys. Sorry. Let's
Thank you.
continue. Well, I just stopped. So yeah, I just mentioned something about ecosystem intervention, which often fails. So yeah, the problem isn't lack of the effort of resources, as you can see in the screen, but it's fundamentally misunderstanding how the ecosystem actually change. So let me just continue with the new things you can see right here. I really think that you can like it as well as the solar system last time. And this is something what I have prepared for you, just to have the understanding, clear understanding what really happen in these things. So if you can just see the balls right here, so you can just imagine that we are a little bit coming back to the ecosystem, but it's important to explain that we will move forward to the theory of change, but it's impacted also. So if you can just imagine this Newton's cradle, you see that balls that represent the actors in your ecosystem, and the strings you can see over here. So it means the relationships and connection which you can just look together today and try to understand that relationships and impacts, and the energy you can just see from the one side to another. So these things is behavioral change, decisions, and collaboration, which is quite important also for today's training. So if you are not the final ball, I mean maybe this one or this one doesn't matter. You are in the two. You are basically the one of who initiates the impulse, and that's only the point: who initiates the impulse and who is impacted. And we can just look at that in the face of the theory of change. I mean the translation from Newton's cradle. 1 second. And this basically what I have already explained is the mechanism of change is the transfer process, and the ecosystem impact is the aggregated results. And if you cannot explain the mechanism, basically, you cannot explain the transitions. Oh, sorry, transmissions. So without transmissions, there is no systematic change. So the theory of change force you to articulate how the energy moves. So between the actions and the impact, there must be the logic. Um, Do you remember as again the one thing which is important to the solar system I explained you last time in the ecosystem, and you can see the ecosystem of the sun or the universe right here, and I can just when I made some, let's say, interventions and try to look at the Africa ecosystem at all, I just find a very nice word which is called Ubuntu. Is anybody in here who can just explain what is Ubuntu? Please go ahead. Don't be shy. I cannot see the chat, so maybe I can, if I can.
Ubuntu. Hello,
Yes,
this is Vincent. Vincent from Uganda.
perfect,
Ubuntu connotates working together, togetherness.
perfect, perfect.
That's the short answer I have.
Yeah, yeah. Vincent, thank you very much. Thank you about very much about that. So I really wanted to make the presentation as nice as possible. So I try to put nice word called Ubuntu, and to explain that the solar system and Ubuntu to working together. Then one is impacted to another. It's in the regime in Africa as well, with such a nice word representation. So if we look at the Ubuntu and the determination and the philosophy, what already in the short, let's say, words explain Vincent, it means that as a person is person through over other people. And I really like that, let's say, explanation and the philosophy, because the philosophy was used by Nelson Mandela. So the collaboration existing part of the one is impacting to another, and without one person to another, we are not able to exist. This is exactly the ecosystem, let's say, living. And I'm coming back a little bit to module one I have just explained last time, and this is really nice things to understand that even your, let's say, philosophy and let's important person like Nelson Mandela was using such a thing related to the collaboration and yeah, acceptation that one guy can and has to impact another. So yeah, that's basically a little bit slight explanation of the Ubuntu, and I really like it. So yeah, let's move a little bit to what kind of changes is possible in the ecosystem. And it basically, these slides depends on the Ubuntu concept, of course, I just explained. So if you look at the interconnectedness and the actors are structurally linked, if you look at the collective responsibility, sorry, yeah, as a matter, I can just move on. Sorry about that. So what you connect to do is like innovation ecosystem are complex with the adaptive systems, and you cannot control them like machines. So you go through them the direct commands. So the reality fundamentally shapes the what kind of intervention is it. If you look at this slide, from analysis to intervention, making strategy choices. Slide, sorry, it's slide 10. Let me just look at my remarks I have here. Yeah, basically, yeah. If you look at that, so the mapping reveals many issues, and we have to look at the common failures and when strategy requires prioritization, you cannot intervene the everywhere. So this slide forces three discipline questions, 1, 2, 3. You can see right here, and I cannot remember. I cannot read them. So if we go for the explanation and the clarity, so without the clarity, intervention becomes diffuse. Without the focus, impact dissipates, and strategic interventions is discipline selection. So yeah, let's go ahead. Doesn't matter. So what is the theory of change itself? The explanation, because it's quite important. Many of you completely understand the theory of change, but for the ones who cannot, so the theory of change is an explicit explanation of how and why we change occurs. So it's just like causal logic. So when we do X, the X activates mechanism Y, when we which is behavior Z, and which produce becomes V. And now you can just say what the Martin is just talking about hell. Well, I can just explain that. So look at that. This is much understandable. So if you look at what I'm just trying to say in some mathematical logic or some impact logic, so you can just see that we go from intervention to mechanism, and from mechanism to behavior change, and from ecosystem to ecosystem impact. And basically what that means that yeah, the intervention is simple. So we recognize, if you look at some, let's say some example. So intervention is simple. So we organize as investor demo day, for example. So that is just an event itself, if you can just tell that. So it's not the change, it's not just an action. So now we have key questions. What's supposed to change because of this event we just talk about now? And if nothing changes, it was just a show for demo day. There is no impact. So the mechanisms we expect to activate is this. So we reduce the information asymmetry and increase trust. So what we do in the mechanisms right here. And what does that actually mean? It means investors understand the startups better. They see the clear data. They ask for the questions, they receive the structured information, and uncertainty decreases. At the same time, founders understood what investors expect. They improve their pitch, they prepare financial projections, and they structure their data room. So the mechanism is not the event. The mechanism is what change in perception and information. So now we move to the most important step, behavior change. So behavior change means someone makes a different decision than before, like this here. So for the investors, behavior change could mean they attend follow-up meetings, they conduct a deeper due diligence, they allocate a small set ticket, they stop ignoring early stage deals. So that's the behavior change basically. And for founders, behavior change could mean they prepare investors ready documentation, they adjust valuation expectation. So they engage in structure negotiations, they improve financial transparency, and notice something important, guys, that the mechanisms affects both sides, investors and founders. If only investors change, but founders remain unprepared on deal, no deal happens. If only founders improve, but investors remain risk averse, no deal happens. Ecosystem work through the interactions, so both sides must shift behavior. Finally, if these behavior shifts repeat across multiple actors, we reach impact. So more capital circulates locally, more startups receive funding, survival rates improve, and the ecosystem becomes more credible. So let me summarize clearly. The demo day is not impact. The demo day is the trigger. And the real impact depends whether behavior changes. And if no decision changes, there is no ecosystem impact. So that is the logic, basically, guys, of this slide. So even it was quite tricky and maybe strange what I just tried to explain with the X, R, X, Y, Z, and V, let's say direction and mechanism. This is basically the clear, let's say, explanation in some, let's say, incubator or basically startups life cycle. So, why tariff change is basically essential? Well, it improves decision making because you must choose a mechanism intentionally, and improve accountability because assumption became explicit, and improve communication because founders understand your logic. And this without tariff change, you manage programs. With tariff change, you manage transformation. And this is the difference, or the difference itself is structural. Um, well, slide 13, let me just say that we have 30 slides and we just go for some, let's say, these important, let's say, explanations, and we can just look together on some, let's say, real example in Kenya. So I just forgot to tell you in the beginning, but that doesn't matter. Let me just explain these things, and I will go forward. So if you look at this slide 13, we can just talk about these slides for mental shifts. And on one side we see activated based thinking, sorry, and in the other hand we just see the theory of change thinking. And activity-based thinking describes what we basically do. So we organize training, as what already mentioned. We host the events. We provide mentoring. Many of you, because you are part of the labs, events organizations, and so on, startups, hubs, whatever. And yeah, if you go forward, so basically you launch the platforms and you do these things I just explained, like events and so on. So these statements describes effort. They describes motion, but they do not describe the structural change. And this is repeated word in this training today. That we just need to switch the let's say thinking from the usual things to the structural change. So theory of change of thinking ask a different questions. What changes because of these actions? Training it is not the change. Reduce capability betters are the change. Networking is not the change because increased trust and reduced information asymmetry are the change. So we need to change the shift of the thinking and logic. I'm just trying to explain because if I will continue, mentoring is not the change. Improved founder decision making is the change. So the difference is yeah, it's subtle but critical. Um, Activity describes input. So the theory of change describes mechanism and the transformation. Remember that. If you cannot articulate mechanism, you are managing operation, and this is not the impact. So this is all about this slide. So yeah, so difference is fundamental. If you look at the core of logic of theory of change, yeah, sorry, yeah. So you see that these three or four rings, and what does it mean? I can just explain you. So if you look at the intervention, mechanism, behavior change, and impact, I will repeat that it in many, let's say, structure, let's say, slides and visualization. So it's only all about to understand these four, let's say, words. So each element must be clearly defined. And let's go ahead for the definition. So intervention is visible action. Mechanism is the structural shift triggered by the actions. Behavior change is the decision level response of actors. And the impact is the aggregated system level outcome. Most weak interventions skip mechanism and behavior. So they assume action leads directly to impact. But the ecosystem is or are not linear. They are mediated by perception, incentives, trust, and constraints. So if the mechanism does not activate, behavior does not shift. If behavior, look at here, if behavior um, does not shift, impact does not materialize. The bridge between the effort and transformation is behavioral change. So, yeah, if we go for slide 15, choosing the right problem gaps and breaks, what we can say here, so the slides address diagnostic precision, let's call it like that. A gap means something is absent. There is no incubator, no seed capital, no policy instrument, but a break means something here. A break means something exist, but does not functionally function effectively. Sorry. So let's say the capital exists, but is not deployed locally. University exists, but collaboration is minimal. Support program exists, but the founders do not engage. Misdiagnosing this break as versus gap leads to duplication. So you add more of something that already exists instead of repairing dysfunction. Guys, this is important. So breaks require mechanism repair. Gaps require provisions. So understanding is this difference determines intervention success. We can slightly go to the slide 16, which is corresponding to that. And what we can say right here. So in this slide, we identify leverage of points, flows, incentives, constraints, and power. So flow determines whether information, capital, and talent circulate. Incentives, shape decision making. Actors respond to risks, reward structures. And the constraints over here limit possible actions. So the regulation, infrastructure, skills barriers. So the power in here defines who influence agenda and allocates resources. So the effective interventions target mechanisms, not volume. If incentives remain misaligned, behavior remains stable. So if constraints persist, activity produces little change. So mechanisms are leverage. So activates are tools. So if you go for the slide 18, sorry. So we can just look at the assumption and risks. And what we can say over here is also mechanism, behavior, context. And we can just say that the mechanism assumption is what we assume our intervention activities to enter the mechanism. So if you look at the behavior assumption, we assume actors response rationally than the predictably. And the context assumption is over here. We assume macro and regulatory environments remain stable. So when intervention fails, it's often because assumptions were implicit and incorrect. So making an assumption explicit allows testing and learning. So without assumption transparency, fail cannot be diagnosed. So the theory of change strengthens adaptive capacity. Well, yeah, that's all about the let's say basic explanation. It is quite tricky and strange maybe for you still, but if you look at the measuring change, let's see what is important in this slide to explain. And this is that most organizations measure outputs, of course. So number of events, number of participants, sorry, number of startups supported, and the outputs demonstrate productivity. So they do not demonstrate behavioral change. Behavioral change must be tracked, and this is maybe just let me just put the questions. Are investors allocating capital differently? Are universities increasing, for example, commercialization agreements? So are founders improving survival rates? So basically, let's say that measurement must reflect transformation, not the effort. So you can see the recommendation what to not measure, and this is the common failure. But what to measure in terms of the behavioral change and the transformation change, of course. Yeah, even I can just measure the things for the, let's say, my founders, and this is the number of the participant, number of supported incubators or startups. I already explained that. But the sustainable, let's say, the structural and transformational change and the understanding of the measurement is completely different. And just think about this one. I will just share the presentation so you can go ahead with my notes, and maybe just you can have more, let's say, time to understand that in let's say your private time. Yep. Yeah. If you look at the ecosystem level versus organization level impact, yeah, what we can say over here. Um, there is a difference between the organization level impact and ecosystem level impact, as it's already visible in here. Yeah, so this is what I basically talk about in terms of number of startup incubated and so on. And this is the ecosystem level impact. So the new, for example, in this case, you have here number of startups incubated, and over here you can see the new partnerships between universities and industry. And this is the ecosystem level, let's say, difference, let's say, impact. And let me just say also this one. That ecosystem level impact reflects structural evolution beyond your organization. And the incubator may support many startups, but if regional capital does not increase, of course, ecosystem impact remains only limited. It's only the way of the money. So the founders increasingly expect ecosystem level evidence. So the strategic relevance depends on system influence and not internal activity volume. Again, remember the question I have just put you last time in the module 1, and ask yourself, if your organization disappeared tomorrow, what will change in the ecosystem? So be honest, and answer reveals your true ecosystem impact. So did anyone from you, just to bring you back and check if you are still online and you are not sleeping, so anyone from you who can just explain today, did you just think about that questions and you got the answer? Please go ahead. Nobody in here? So you are sleeping.
No,
Sorry.
your microphone kind of skipped we missed the question.
All right. So the question is over here, Vincent, and this is in red written here. So you can just read that if you wish, but I can just repeat that. So if your organization disappeared tomorrow, what will change in the ecosystem? You remember I just raised the question last time, just to leave you to think about it. And I'm just asking, if you just think about it, if you disappear today, what will really happen and what is the impact? And if you have already answer from your ecosystem, from your organization level.
I think my answer here would be a bit biased because I am doing what I'm doing for the ecosystem can only be done by me. That is writing the policy on the national startup policy.
Mm-hmm.
However, that doesn't mean that the ecosystem does not exist. Even without the policy, the ecosystem is still it's thriving, it's working, the wheel is rolling, so to speak. So my short answer is if I disappear today, I think the ecosystem would still go on. It will be much slower, but they'll find a solution.
Mm-hmm. Good enough. Thank you, Vincent.
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Vincent. Henry, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think I want to agree with him, but also add that usually when you're developing an ecosystem like the one we are currently, you have to put in place contingencies so that you can be able to mitigate such kind of scenarios when they happen. And thus, at the end of the day, you are looking at continuity of the system, even if the organization disappears.
Mm-hmm. Good enough. Thank you, Henry. So another one was Evans, maybe, or Sonia. So please go ahead, one of you.
All right. Thank you very much. So I think, okay, probably maybe I should just give a little bit of context where I'm coming from. So we're in an ecosystem, gender equity and social inclusion roadmap for impact investing in Nigeria. So it's a roadmap that seeks to unlock $8 billion for blended finance, catalytic funding for women in Nigeria. So in this ecosystem, you have the supply side, which are the impact investors who are providing the funding. And then you have the demand side, which is the businesses, SMEs that needs this funding. And then you have in between ESO, the ecosystem enablers. So what our role is in the ecosystem is to build impact investment ready pipeline who will be able to absorb these uptake and absorb this funding. So now to the question, if my organization disappears today, but I think we have trained other ESOs and we're still training them too, who could be part of what we're doing, who also will be able to start building, access to finance, impact, investment ready businesses, okay, for the roadmap. I don't know
All
if
right.
that's. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you very much, indeed, Evans. So, please, Sonia, your turn.
So from my side, I'm working in a public innovation center. So we are offering free services and free co-working for any startup in any stage. But I was thinking about your question last week, and I think the main impact would be for the entrepreneurs to be people with an MVP without any sell, without any research. So we would impact in that part of the target, in that profile of the entrepreneurs. And I was thinking that maybe we would lose some potential innovation if we don't help that kind of entrepreneurs.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Anybody else? So, if not, let me just go. Sorry,
Yes.
Sheila,
Yes.
please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I've also been thinking about this question. At Startup Africa, we work with mostly early stage entrepreneurs, especially those that are out of university or that have just left their first job and they're planning to now apply their skills to build businesses. So, the kind of entrepreneurship training that we give is to actually help them to be investment ready. How can we prepare them to get their first round of funding and they learn how to do financial management and all that? So, that part of the technical mentorship, if it is taken out of the way, I think we would now have entrepreneurs who eventually receive funding, but then they're not investment ready, and then it all goes to waste. Yes.
Thank you very much, Sheila.
Yeah.
Anyone from you would like to share as well your experience? Yeah, okay, please. If not, let me just continue. We can just have a discussion afterwards, of course, but let me just continue on this slide 2021. Yeah. Um, well, you can just see over here. So what I really wanted to, let's say, put into discussion today is also to understanding your impact contribution versus attribution. Anyone from you can just like say explain that from your side. It can be just easily, but you can see it over here. So I did the step much faster than I wanted, but definitely the let's say the purpose of this slide is to explain the difference between the attribution and contribution. We can just not spend much more time on that, but basically this is really nice things and important to understand that there is a differences between the attribution and the contribution in the real impact. So in complex system, attribution is really singular. So multiple actors influence outcomes simultaneously. Basically, the claiming the sole causality undermines credibility. So the contribution recognized share influence and acknowledgement is complexity, and it respects systematic interdependence. So the professional ecosystem builders communicate contributions, not the dominations. This is also a nice visualization of the longitudinal mapping. So you can just see the tracking ecosystem change over time and while longitudinal mapping matters. So yeah, basically it was created for you to understand that ecosystem evolve over time. So a single snapshot cannot demonstrate transformation. So longitudinal mapping track structural evolution across the intervals. So the baseline over here the midpoint, and the outcome. So without temporal comparison, claims of impact remain speculative. That's only important the things that time reveals structural shifts. So yeah, these steps, practical advice. Yeah, if you look at the indicator linked to the theory of change in the example of BSO creates investor startup matching, so you can see over here are the mechanism indicator, behavior indicators, and outcome indicators. So if you just see the difference between these three dimensions, so in the mechanism indicators, you can see, for example, number of investors, number of startups, quality of matching. So we just talked about that in the previous slides. And the behavior indicators, you can see the difference. So the number of first meetings arranged through the platform. So the conversation rate. So you can just see the time from introduction to investment decision. And if we look at the outcome indicators, so it's maybe total investment, it's number of startups, it's diversity of investors. So yeah, so well, yeah, you have to track all the three levels, um, but the outcomes indicators are not moving. Yeah. So yeah, the frequency you can see in the carton, so you can just track it monthly or quarterly, it doesn't matter. If you can go for the behavior indicators, you can just track it also in this, let's say, sequence like quarterly or biannually. And the outcomes indicators you can just check annually. So like, if you see the difference, so you go from mechanisms indicator from monthly side to behavior to the quarter side, and from the outcomes to check that in the yearly time. Yeah, now we can just have a look for the slides related to qualitative and quantitative evaluation tools. The important thing is to understand what is the quantitative tools and the qualitative tools. So in the quantitative, you can of course measure the scale and patterns, and the qualitative, the understanding of mechanisms and the context. And I believe after the 20 slides I just share with you, and you can go for that. Personally, I told you after the meeting I will share the presentation, of course. So you can check that and go through the slides, let's say, in your time. Yeah, and don't be in a hurry. So if you don't understand, you can just also call me and we can just talk about it. But yeah, the measuring scale and patterns in the quantitative sides, and the understanding of mechanisms on the context on the qualitative sides is yeah, is essential in here. You can see also here that you can just do some best practice. So yeah, you can just go ahead with that. I don't want to spend much time on that, and so we can just go for slightly to the end, and we can just talk about the theory of change interventions, mechanism, behavior change, impact. You see again, if you enter today's session, you need to understand and tell it over the night. I can just let's say woke you up. You can just need to say, yeah, theory of change means that there is an intervention mechanism, behavior change, and impact. So this is only the point to understand how to interact and impact the let's say the transformation I told you. Yeah. What makes a good theory of change? Well, we can just say on this slide that these slides define standard quality standards basically. A strong theory of change is specific, so it names actors, it names mechanism, it names behavioral shifts. It's realistic, it's acknowledgement constraint, it's recognized incentive structures, it's testable, it's allow assumption to be validated. What else? It's contextual, it reflects local ecosystem condition, it's not copied from another region. A week of terror change is work. So it promised transformation without mechanism. So if it assumes cooperation without incentive alignments, so quality lies on clarity and plausibility. So be realistic, specific, testable, and contextual. A tariff change should feel slightly uncomfortable, but the specific is enough to be proven wrong. Yeah, this is the sentence I really want to keep you in mind. Well, common mistakes in the theory of change. What we can say in here, the first mistake is confusing activity with mechanism. The second mistake, ignoring incentiveness. Actors do not change behavior without reason. The third mistake, overestimating influence. No single program transforms a system. The fourth mistake, which is quite common, is failing to articulate behavioral shifts. The fifth mistake, for example, is measuring what is easy rather than what matters. Avoiding these mistakes increase intervention precision. So theory of change is not documentation, guys. It's a discipline. It's a discipline. Yeah, the role of business support organization. Well, yeah, what BSS cannot do. Let me just say that. The slides clarified positioning. So a business support organization does not control the ecosystem. It influence mechanism. It convince actors. It reduce transaction costs. It facilitate information flows. It builds relation trust. So its influence is catalytic. So if BSOs can only deliver service, it remains operational. So if it shifts mechanism, sorry, it becomes structural. So distinction defines strategy events. So to control the system, what you cannot do is to control the system actors' behavior directly, replace missing market, compensate for fundamental policy, create demand where no real market opportunity is, transform ecosystem without engaging. I think it's quite clear for you in here. If you go for the using the theory of change in practice, we are just nearly to involve also guy from Kenya. But let me just say it. In this slide over this before we will start. And the theory of change is not only, let's say, not only theoretical. It's used for even for social things and so on, and also for the startups and ecosystem. And let me just say that it informs planning. It guides resources allocation. It clarify partnerships. It strengthens funding proposals. Internally, it enables learning. If behavioral change does not occur, assumptions are revisited. And externally, it enhance credibility. It demonstrates intentionality. So, without strategy logic, organization react. With strategy logics, they basically steer. Yeah, so see that strategy development, donor communication, learning and adaptations. Now we are going to do, let's say, Kenya experience and slide. I really wanted to show you because in my, let's say, research I did for you in your ecosystem, if there is something functional, I really like it in terms of the using of the theory of change in Kenya. So the youth of cafes, I really like that the style they have it, and this is for more engagement and so on. So I just put it in here for the clarity and just to be able for your from your side to understand what you already have in the ecosystem in Africa, even in the separated country, of course, like Kenya is. And luckily we here for organization. So yeah, I really what I did in the let's say time we just had 14 days off basically. So I ask for the contribution those for let's say organization or 5 I can see right here. So E for Impact Accelerator, Dimewise, Mount Kenya, oh sorry, for institution, Mount Kenya University and Swahili Design Lab. And yeah, if you look at the theory of change in practice, we can just seen the example I just shared with you, the youth cafes, how they did it, and how can just identify themselves, how to make the mechanism and so on for the behavioral change. So I wanted to ask those for organization, and maybe I don't know if Henry and anybody else would like to start to share their experience, and I will put before the session the questions for those guys, and here's some let's say way of the questions I really wanted to share with all of you here in here. So maybe who will take the let's say the part of explanation in our ecosystem in Kenya, and we can guys maybe have a more discussion starting in just now about their let's say example. So please, Henry, anybody else would like to start? All right, nobody else?
Maybe I can go in, Henry, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think maybe I will limit my contribution to the 4 questions that are on the screen.
All right.
And yeah, so from Mount Kenya University, we are currently trying to reinvent the way we approach our teaching and training together with the industry, which has actually been a problem, I think, in Kenya for quite some time. And we are trying to see how we can approach that by co-creating joint activities and frameworks together. So in terms of bullet number 1, how do we see our role within the innovation ecosystem? So as a university, we consider ourselves as an institution that generates knowledge. But who uses this knowledge? Then we have to look at the industry. And in particular, currently, we are trying to see how we can work with the SMEs. So we see ourselves as a knowledge generator within the ecosystem. And in terms of the connections, we currently actively trying to work with the business associations, because initially we've tried to work directly with the SME sector, and it was a challenge. And we found it easier to work with the SME associations. These are KEPSA, the Micro Small Enterprise Authority, that's a government arm. And then we are also working with the Association of SME Enablers of Kenya, ASEC as well. We've had meetings with Kenya in terms of how we can work, in terms of the connections, because we feel that they complement our activities as also helping us to reach out to the industries. In terms of the most potential for the ecosystem level impact, I think we feel that if we do this, then we are able to propel our training and academic programs to a point whereby we are just not generating the knowledge, but also this knowledge is being utilized by the industry. And therefore, we are currently implementing a service learning approach where we have had a series of meetings. We have monthly meetings with the industry, and then they present their challenges to us. We share these challenges with the students. The students solve the challenges within a certain time frame, and then they provide the solutions to the industries. And so we feel that this is already at the pilot stage. So we believe that if we go on like this, we will be able also to impact and also be able to attract others. We are currently working with 10 local universities in Kenya, jointly together to see how we can be able to implement that. In terms of the mechanisms of change that we have found to be most effective in the network, one of the things that we've seen is you cannot really work without resources. And when I talk about resources, you're looking at also funding, you're looking at also time, and also you're looking at the goodwill of the leadership of the respective institutions. So I think it's a dynamic in every organization, because you know that SMEs are profit motive driven. So they really don't want to waste money or time, because they have to make money, they have to make profit. And this student wants to work with them and solve this problem. And therefore, sometimes you have to balance that. And I think it's something that we are learning and we are improving as we go along. I submit.
Perfect, Henry. Thank you for your speech. Evans, you just raised the hand.
Thank you very much. I think regarding our role within the innovation ecosystem, probably maybe I should begin with the way we understand impact investing. That should help everybody to really appreciate our role as ecosystem enablers. So, impact investing, which is a strategy that deploys capital to organizations, businesses who are making positive contributions, who are generating social impact. So you have these businesses like in Nigeria, close to 90% of these businesses are SMEs, like 41 million SMEs in this country. So obviously they are generating social impact. They're making positive contribution in terms of job creation and contributing to economic resilience and all of that. And so because these businesses do not know how to capture this value, the value of the positive contribution, social impact by way of measuring the social impact and then reporting it and then even commercializing it to engage with impact investors to unlock funding. So our role first is overall is to build pipelines, is help them to capture this value and then measure it, report it, and then connect them with impact investors to be able to unlock funding. While at the same time, we're helping impact investors to de-risk their investment. Like I mentioned, the roadmap that seeks to mobilize 8 billion. Dollars for impact investing, and the businesses are there, but they're not impact investment ready. So our role is to build this pipeline of business that are impact investment ready. So to the impact investors, we're helping them to de-risk their investment by helping to identify operational constraint, growth, constraint, operational bottleneck, gaps in these SMEs processes and structure. Why these SMEs were also enhancing their ability to absorb this inclusive capital. So basically, we're enhancing their access to catalytic funding. And then most potential at the end of the day, a lot of SMEs, they're able to absorb catalytic funding. We now have a lot more who are impact investment ready, and then where the investors too, they're able to deploy their impact capital as well. And at the end of the day, we're looking at more jobs are created. There's increased revenue for the businesses, SMEs, because of their performances is increasing, and then overall we're contributing to economic resilience, or GDP and all of that. So I think this is, if you don't mind, let me hold it.
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Good enough. Well, we can come back to that. Please, James was asking for. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. My name is James Gashiri from Dime West Africa. That's an ESO that is based in Kenya. And I would say, answering the first question on where do we see ourselves, or what space are we playing? And what Dime West literally does, it works with last mile entrepreneurs. So we try and we work towards building capacity and also putting them in a position whereby they are the risk, and even they can be those venture capitalists can invest in them. And on top of them, there are some of these entrepreneurs who perhaps don't meet the requirement. And as an organization, as an ESO, we have developed a fund that is able to address the access to capital. And also be able to work with other ESOs, whereby some of the programs, either is it an accelerator program, we always work in mind who is going to be, this pipeline we are preparing, who is going to take it. And also currently we are involved with the workings at national level, whereby we are working with institutions like ASEC, we are working with the Association of Countrywide Hubs, and also at global level, we are working with Pollinate Impact. And also on one side, we are working with some of these development partners, whereby we co-implement some of the programs they have at a local level. So generally, just as you had stated about us not working alone, or even Ubuntu, it means how better this ecosystem. It is when people work together, you understand there is this ESO or a business support organization that has a strength in this area, and then you collaborate with them in even coming up with that pipeline. So mostly it's all about seeing your inefficiencies and also looking at how what else can you learn from a fellow ESO. Thank you.
Thank you, James, very much. So we have missing just the two of the participants I just mentioned. Let me just remember that. Sorry. Yeah. So what about the A for Impact Accelerator? Do we have, let's say, today their view?
I'm
Or
here,
Swahili
by the
Design
way.
Lab? Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't listen.
Had you asked if E for Impact is present?
Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Please. Yes. Nice to meet you. Go ahead, please.
In terms of the role that we have in the ecosystem.
Yeah, I will just bring you back to the questions, please.
Okay, so I think how
Isabel.
we see the E4 impact role within the ecosystem here is twofold. One, my colleagues have already spoken about it, trying to identify and support the emerging enterprises to be able to align to what the investment world is looking for. So that makes it a bit easier in terms of matching. The other thing is also trying to support the enterprises. I'd mentioned in our previous meeting, we are Italian founded. So we also try to collaborate with other ESOs from Italy. We work very closely with the Catholic University of Milan, and that has been instrumental in terms of just trying to identify areas of collaboration and innovation for entrepreneurs. We've seen a couple of joint ventures emerging from this, which also helps the enterprises scale a bit faster. Then in terms of the connections and complementarities, is also the access to market that we have through Italy. And we also have a presence in about 20 African countries. So trying to create a local market for the enterprises that we work with, but not just enterprises, because also we work very closely with different African universities. So trying to sort of put together an ecosystem around the programs that we are working. So you have a support system even beyond the active phase of the support that a program could offer. And that has also been interesting in the sense that whenever we have emerging opportunities where it is to showcase or match different Italian enterprises to solutions or markets in Kenya, that has been an easy entry point for the alumni we've worked with. Most potential for ecosystem level impact. I think this is long term, especially for us here in Kenya, where there's a lot more work that we could contribute towards policy, conducive policy for entrepreneurs. In the past couple of years, they've really been hit with a number of taxations and what have you. So that makes it a bit difficult for the emerging enterprises. So I think that is where we see more potential that we could contribute to.
Mm-hmm.
Mechanisms of change that we found most effective, I think, is collaboration, really. When we have more people speaking and pushing towards a common agenda, we tend to see more results, and those results have a ripple effect across.
Perfect, Isabella. Thank you very much for your, let's say, speech. So we are just missing and I'm giving the opportunity to Swahili Design Lab if they are attended today. So anybody from this team would like to share? Before I will just move to Mohammed, maybe. Okay. So there is no, let's say, Swahili Design Lab representation. Let's, Mohammed, go ahead with your, let's say, discussion and question maybe you would like to put on that
Yes,
discussion.
thank you for the opportunity and thank you for the presentation. Yes, I want to share regarding these questions. I think we are at Gesr Masr Khair. We are a non-profit organization. So we have like the first and the oldest social incubator or business technological incubator with a social impact in Egypt. We started around 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So actually more than 10 years, and we are doing a good job. We started in this social because actually we are belonging for the biggest non-profit organization in Egypt. So this is let us doing like a cross-cutting rule as we are non-profit, so we are not looking for any competition with anyone. We are doing it with a social impact. So we have like a free way or a free space to do it with a very, what we care about is a social impact one. What I'm giving as an example, which is already answering the question number 2 about the connection. We already writing proposals for the EU and different donor organizations, like what we have now, and we are supporting other 11 business support organizations with us to through training, mentorship, basic and advanced training in some specific sector like green, circular economy, waste management. And in one time, we will support also indirect their beneficiary. So we support the BSO itself, team, organization side, and also the beneficiary from these organizations or these BSOs also. So this is the connection with this one. And regarding the policy, we have one of our project is like a policy discussion to found like a good policy document to be shared with the government. And we are leading this project also with 2 big events regarding the policy discussion related also to the green, circular economy, and waste management one. So I wanted to share that with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Anybody from the outside of the Kenya ecosystem would like to share or just to bring their, let's say, feedback or ideas to the ecosystem, what to change, what to let's say, maybe help to, let's say, move forward? I mean, from your experience, from your in other countries. Before I will just to make some summary from it. I'm giving you the floor, so please go ahead. So what about Teimo, Adriana, or Sana? Anybody from you?
No.
Hello?
Yep.
Hello,
Hello. Oh, go ahead.
sorry. Just to tell you that, like a science park, the connections that we have with university and the industry nearby. Okay, so we have an important role in our ecosystem. Okay, though sometimes the connections don't work the easiest way, but all that we plan, all the programs that we have, all the impact that we are creating, we are doing it together. Okay, so we try not to we try to complement the services, okay, and to distribute the events and the connections between the players of the ecosystem. Sometimes we also feel that depending on the people that is leading some organizations and the difficulties that some organizations that are in the ecosystem have from times to times, things don't work the best way. But I think that we are working well together. We have networks, we do projects together, European projects, national projects, and we know that things have been changing. At least we feel that the SMEs that are more connected with this ecosystem. Okay, so today it's easier for our startup to have connection with the investors and SMEs, mostly SMEs, and to get in the SMEs to bring innovation to them. But I still understand and I still know that we still have to get better in these relationships. So I think it's important to look and to see how other institutions work, because when we look at this, we know that okay, we sometimes I think we are working well, but there are many things for us to improve.
Indeed, Adrian. Thank you very much for your speech. Evelyn, go ahead. Good to see your hands.
Hi, good morning. So for Hyperspace, we typically see ourselves as a catalytic intermediary, particularly within the regional and rural innovation systems. For example, for one of our projects, the YIC, we didn't replace the investors or governments. Instead, we coordinated mentorship and structured peer learning and connect grassroots innovators to resources that already exist but are often inaccessible. So we believe that we are enabling them to participate more effectively in the digital economy, and our role is to unlock access and strengthen flows, not to centralize control. For connections, we see a strong connection between universities generating talent, governments shaping policy, and then development partners providing funding, and then the private sector also offering market access. So, for instance, in the same YIC, the makerspace set up with the partner hubs, we outsourced another organization to supply the equipment while local hubs manage the operations of the makerspaces. And so we connect, we sit at the intersection, translating between these actors and aligning the incentives. And then I think for where we see most potential for ecosystem level impact, I think the greatest potential lies in strengthening weak flows, particularly the pathway from training to enterprise, and then rural innovation inclusion, and then early stage support for atypical innovators. So, for example, many young innovators have ideas but lack structured mentorship, prototype support, or market access. So, by embedding mentorship frameworks and improving coordination between hubs and funders, we improve the system level rather than running isolated activities. And then the last question, what mechanisms of change have been most effective? I think it will be convening and structured coordination have been most effective for us. And then when we bring together mentors, innovators, and funders, and then the local host with clear roles and accountability, we see a lot of improvement in flows. And so co-designing interventions with local partners, such as what we did for the YIC and then even other projects, we believe that it ensures relevance and ownership, embedding mentorship systems rather than one like the typical one-off workshops. That has also created more sustained impact for us. So, in short, like our mechanism of change is strengthening flows, and maybe aligning actors and reducing friction, especially in parts of the ecosystem that are often overlooked. Yeah.
Evelyn, perfect. So, all the best and greetings to Hapa Space and Gideon.
Sure.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask Vincent because I have seen that he wanted to say something as well.
No,
Vincent.
briefly, but it's very related to. Yeah, I wanted to say something briefly,
Yeah. Go ahead,
but it's
please.
related. But, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I
Go ahead,
wanted to
Vincent.
say, in terms of our role in Uganda at the Ministry of Trade, we are currently working on a lot of infrastructural issues to do with a policy, issues to do with a database. We're also working on an accelerator that is in its third cohort.
Mm-hmm.
But our role is enabling. But it's important to say that we were catalyzed by the players in the ecosystem because government initially had bundled innovators and startups as micro enterprises, but that is now changing through policy. Um, we are working closely, especially on the funding aspect, with ideas like Riker, Mastercard Foundation, who funded the policy, Plan International, and some others who are still coming on board, which creates a very good picture of collaboration, of Ubuntu that you spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
We see a lot of more potential for collaboration because in a kind of natural way, the ecosystem is looking at us to convene most of their activities. For now, I know you mentioned that in the last training that no single person is the driver of the ecosystem. Everyone plays their role, but this is a
Yes.
role that has been handed over to us. The mechanism of change that I found most effective, definitely, it's collaboration, convening and collaborating. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vincent. Anybody else from these guys in here? So I didn't hear today, for example, Tobila. Okay, so Naomi, please go ahead. Your turn.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Naomi. I'm from R&D Group Ethiopia. Thank you for the presentation and a lot of insights from everyone. So at R&D, to answer the first question, at R&D Group Ethiopia, we see our role as an ecosystem enabler and connector because we focus on strengthening talent and entrepreneurs and also organizations through capacity building and in other innovation programs. So we also have digital platforms like Share, which facilitates collaboration, mentorship, and knowledge sharing, and also Annotate Plus, which is an ethical AI platform. We see our role in that. And the second question, what connections and complementaries? We usually work closely with universities, startups, private sector partners, and also ecosystem support organizations. And the third one is you see the most potential. So the greatest potential lies with collaboration between talent development and digital innovation. So we connect by connecting young professionals and startups to the real market through our platforms, like I mentioned, which is Share platform. We improve that employability and other learnings from that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Naomi, thank you very much. Well, your insight is very, very important, guys, because the Kenya ecosystem just have the opportunity to, let's say, or had opportunity to demonstrate what they have, and you can just react from your experience, from your countries and ecosystems, what you can see that on your, let's say, perspective, and how you can, let's say, help and contribute in Kenya's model. So Alberta is in the meantime asking for speech, so please go ahead.
Thank you, everyone. This is Alberta from Diapa Workspace. We are located in Takoradi, far from the capital. For Diapa Workspace, we can say that we help build people, we strengthen systems, and basically connect them to markets. In doing that, we are limited in resources ourselves. So what we do is that we help to develop the leaders that have the ideas and want to do something. We help them to structure their systems. And instead of giving them resources, we connect them to already existing resources. There are institutions, government institutions, private institutions, TVET institutions that have the resources. So we act as a connector, basically as a connector for impact leaders, young people who want to do something but don't know how to do it. Because we are positioned beyond the capital, there's a lot of potential where we are. A lot of the resources are located in the capital. So we act as a bridge to bring in some of the resources located there for others to have access. So basically, we say that we provide access to people. Yes, basically my little contribution. Most of what I have to say has been said. So I don't want to repeat it. Thank you.
Alberta, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So Sheila, go ahead. Startup Africa.
Yes, thank you. For us, Startup Africa, we see ourselves as, first of all, like an incubator. We work with early stage businesses in very many sectors, different sectors, green economy, agriculture, to support them with mentorship, technical expertise, and also support with funding, especially at the early stages. We also provide opportunities like access to market. We work with a number of early stage SMEs to get market in supermarkets. We have partnerships with over 300 supermarkets where some of the entrepreneurs that we've worked with send their products and we supply them to those supermarkets, which is a very important part, especially in them even raising more revenue. Where do we see the most potential? One, it's still in the incubation, especially businesses that are still rising and in their early stages, but also how to unlock finances for businesses that are starting. Yeah, so most of them have the ideas, they have the skills, but they don't have the capital to be able to start. Yeah, and one of the mechanisms that we've used that have been very effective is working with universities. We have a number of partnerships with universities in Uganda, and we work with entrepreneurs that have ideas, especially when they're still at university, do entrepreneurship trainings with them. And by the time they finish, they have a bit of expertise and skill. And now when they get out, we build on what we learned with them during school, and now they can scale their businesses. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Indeed, Sheila, thank you very much. In the meantime, Esther is asking for your speech, so go ahead. Esther? Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Yep, go ahead, please, Esther. Hi.
This is Esther Mwangi from Zutech University, and I'll just highlight a few of the things that our role is in the innovation ecosystem, given that we have quite a number of hubs and universities here. So apart from just making sure that we train our youth and make sure that they're ready for the job market, we are quite unique in that we are trying also to prepare them to be the next I would say to make sure that they also become employers, not just looking for employment. And we run quite a number of programs beside the classroom works to ensure that we're able to mentor them and prepare them for this. So I'm involved in championing innovation commercialization in my university, and we are trying to make sure that we are able to coach the students and who have their innovations or who have their startups, ensure that they register their businesses before they get out of the university.
Okay, I lost the voice. Is it just me or anybody else?
No, me too.
Okay.
I think probably it's her connection. Yes.
All right, Esther. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. You are back. So go ahead, please. Sorry, we just lost the connection.
All right, sorry for that. So we have what you call IZ Hub, which is the vehicle we are using to roll this. And we have some entrepreneurship apprenticeship programs that we are partnering with different partners in the country. Other programs that Dr. Henry Atich had also spoken about, projects that we are working together to ensure that we have the right industry collaboration together with ASEC, pairing us up with people who have issues that the students can be able to work on projects that are real, and that they are whatever they come out of their research project is actually real solutions that can be used in the market by our SMEs. So those are some of the things that we're using, and we are seeing as ourselves as a bridge to, by the time we're turning out youth do not just get out there with just certificates, but they are ready for acceleration, so that we take the burden off from some of our innovators, just taking them through ideation and all that. So we're able to take care of some of the early steps in building enterprises. Then that becomes great. By the time they are leaving the university, they are looking for acceleration, and that's the only way we can make sure that we are building our economies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Esther. So yeah, we have many feedbacks, and thank you for the collaboration and Ubuntu in this case, because what we really share together is only the point and only the important, let's say, fact. So even I can just give you, let's say, some academic, let's say, descriptions and books. This is the real, let's say, feedbacks and actors. And I have seen in the discussion and in the chats as well that you would like to share the email, so maybe Kova can provide that, because this is the right way to connect you and to share the, let's say, your experience after the session, maybe today or the following one we will have together. So at least we will meet twice, so we will meet in this group. So maybe I will be able to name you all of you because a couple of you already know. So this is also nice for me, the experience to join, let's say, some ecosystem in Africa and have some, let's say, friends and folks around the world. So yeah, finally, let me just say these things, and thank you very much for these discussions. Before we'll move forward, let me just say this. Well, what we have basically heard here. Let me just say again, thank you everyone who joined this discussion, and let me just try to make some synthesis with heart. So because across the countries and organization, I see recurring growth. First, connectors, Many of you bridge the gaps between capital and regions, between innovators and institutions, between ideas and resources. I already put the remarks, so I was quiet, but I just made some remarks. So please let me just summarize it. What I have just make some notes in here from my side. Second, I have heard about the capacity builders. Your develop leaders, structure system, embed mentorship, and work with the universities to prepare entrepreneurs early. Third, market unlockers. I just made the note like that. Whether through the supermarket partnerships, we have heard about the Italy connections, or cross-border collaboration across the markets is a critical lever. Fourth, policy and shapers. So some of you are catalyzing regulatory change or correcting misclassification of the startups and at national level. So what units all of you is this: you are not centralizing control. You are strengthening flows from training to enterprise, from rural innovators to capital, from universities to real markets, and from the grassroots ideas to structured support. So the next level question for all of us is, how do we institutionalize these flows so they survive beyond individuals, projects, and the funding cycles? If we manage that, we've moved from the strong programs to strong ecosystem, and Ubuntu means. So let me just go for because we are going to the end slightly. Let me just go for the key takeaways and next steps. We just talk about core concept of theory change. We just make some practical applications, and you may need to understand what is following next. And this is this is something which is important for the next session after the 14 days since now, or 2 weeks in front. Doesn't matter how you can take it. And yeah, let us synthesize again. So yeah, the mapping reveals structure, theory of change explained causality, measurements validates behavioral shifts. We just talk about the longitudinal tracking demonstrates systematic evolution. We just talk about the ecosystem, that the ecosystem change is behavioral change. And yeah, you can ask continuously, what mechanism are we influencing? We just talk about it with guys, which has the speech in these slides related to Kenya, and we have also the question whose behavior must shifts and how we will measure it. Of course, the KPIs and the strategy, attribution, contribution, and so on. Just to remember that. Once you will get the presentation again, you can just go for it. So yeah, looking ahead with the module 3, we have in the 2 weeks time. So with the module U, is good to understand that we focus on how change happens. So first model was about the ecosystem, second model was more about the change, and third module 3 will focus on positioning. So this will be the case for the next session, and I will give you also some instruction, maybe some homework, just to you just need to think about. So it's not necessarily to answer, but it's up to you if you would like to go for it. So let me just in the following days to share with you some my thoughts, and yeah, I will of course share with you some books and the articles related to the positioning. And of course you can just talk about what will come next, and this is the module 4. And module 4, let's keep ladies and gentlemen, in the shape of discussion together and to more understand maybe the European level of ecosystem. So I will give you my ecosystem, European level ecosystem, and we can just talk about together as a brainstorm how we can, let's say, take the experience from Europe to Africa and from Africa to Europe. So because I believe there will be always some, let's say, common sense, and we can just share our experience. So Back to the module 3. Well, yeah, let me just say we can just put the question like where does your organization sit with the ecosystem we just talked about. You have to answer that, or you have to be able to answer that. And how do you build alliance? This is important. Contribution. And how do we amplify mechanism through the partnerships? So the understanding intervention logic prepares you for the strategic positioning. And we now move from designing change to positioning for influence, ladies and gentlemen. And the last slide is only about the partners. And again, thank you to EBN and this program we have here to be able to help you in your, let's say, understand or level or increasing of understanding your level of ecosystem knowledge and yeah, just now a theory of change, and maybe in the following weeks related to the positioning. So I'm putting back the words to Kova if she would like to add in something in the end of this training.
Thank you, Martin. Hopefully you can hear me now.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for this second very interesting session, and thank you as well to all the participants. You've been super active, and it's very enriching also to know more about your organizations and how they sit within your ecosystem. I saw the question for some contacts, so I left the link to the share folder where you can find the presentation. Soon you will have also available this presentation, and also the contact list of the organizations participating. So I invite you to have a look at it. Most of them have only the main contacts that are those that applied for the program. Some of you already have included other contacts, so please feel free the rest also to have a look at the list, and if you consider someone else should be receiving the emails or also on the main contact list, please feel free to include them. Also, remember, as we explained on the opening session, as this is a training for focusing also on the organizations, if for any session you cannot join, or you think is more relevant for another of your colleagues according to their department or role within the organization, to share the links for them so that they can join to the sessions. So yeah, we can make sure that you can make the most for your organizations to the training. I thank you all. Unless there is no any questions, then I invite you to start thinking for about the question that Martin said, or some 2-3 organizations that are really key on your ecosystem, and what is your relationship with them and your collaboration. Soon you will receive the link to register to the next session, which is taking place in 2 Fridays. So I believe it's the 8th of the 6th, sorry, of March. So yeah, you will receive the link to register to it, and I'm very much looking forward to see you all there again. Thanks again for your active participation. And on the meantime, if you have any question, please feel free to reach me or to reach Martin. Yeah, thank you all again. Thank you, Martin, very much.
Yes, let me just say a couple of words in the end. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I hope this bring you more understanding and help from my side, and I will. I'm just not able just to wait for the third sessions with you. So we are like my family now, and don't remember. Oh, sorry, not don't remember, but remember it well. 2 things I have just put in this slides, and this is the Newton's cradle. So you're important for you that you are not the final ball, but the one who initiates and pulls. Please remember that. And let me just say it, Ubuntu. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
Thank you all.